So this is Baruch Fleischman here with the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and what you're looking at is the Idra Rabbah here on page Reish Ben Gimel. And I skipped a few pages because I forgot to record the previous part, and I'm going to start over here, and maybe this would be good. I have to go to shul in the middle of this, so I'll come back and finish it up. So before we learn about the beard of Zair Anpin, there's some things that we have to know, and we're going to make a quick review. Not so quick. A review of what he brings us here. So the Pirish, the Heskesef Kavod says like this. Hakdama, here's a preview or an introduction. Kadei lahavin ledevarim shelavanenu, in order to be able to understand what we're about to learn. Nakdim kam seder hatesha tikuni dikna the Zair Anpin. Let's go over the order. There are 9 tikkunim in the beard of Zair Anpin. And let's understand that the concept of the tikkunim is the concept of hismatus of the light. It's the different ways in which the light that comes through the beard of in the beard of Zair Anpin is going to shine down below. Zechababir hahevdel bein the tesha tikkuni dikna the Zair Anpin, and now we're also going to explain the difference between the 9 tikkunim of the beard of Zair Anpin, bein hayud gimel tikkuni dikna the Erich Anpin. Da Ki yesh yud gimel tikuni dikna penimim, that in terms of the beard of Erich Anpin, shall Erich Anpin, shehima yud gimel tikuni haniskar b'mecho. So there are 13 tikkunim inside of the hair follicles of Erich Anpin, and they're mentioned in the prophet Mecho. Then there are also v'yesh yud gimel tikuni dikna kitzonim, but there's also the part that we're more familiar with, is the 13 tikkunim that refer to the outside, that is the kalim of the hairs. Erich Anpin, shehem hameirim lepamim lematas, that these, the outside, the part that shines sometimes down below, bedikta the Zair Anpin, into the dikta of Zair Anpin. Behem hayud gimel tikkunim b'parshas kisisa, and these are the 13 tikkunim that we find in Parshas Kisisa. V'yesh tesha tikkunim dikna the Zair Anpin, shehem haniskarim b'Parshas Shalach. There's also another 9 of Zair Anpin which are mentioned in Parshas Shalach. So he says, and he shows you here where you can find them. So the Yasir, so you want to go into it more in detail. He says, Hine Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Penimium shall Erich Anpin, so the 13 tikunim on the inside that flow inside of the hairs of Erich Anpin. Muva'arim be'idra la'el, we've been through this already, and we talked about it. Shehu v'sham brisa meforeshus v'zel Shona brings a brisa over there and explains the son you'll be learning this brisa. Tleisecha mekilin derachme ma'atika. There are 13 different tikkunim in the beards of Atika Kadisha, which is Erich Anpin. Mi kel kamocho chad, so the one that says who is like unto you, and a nose avon trey, of over hapepesha tlas, and now he's mentioning the interior flow of light that have names that are actually, each one represents a bedrega of his matas of the light. L'she'eris nachalaso arban, that's the next name. Lo chasik la'ad apo, his number is 5. Ki chafetz chesed hu, because he desires kindness. That's shis, that's in the 6th one. Yashu Rachamenu Sheva, that's 7. Kavush Avanosenu, he subdues our sins, is number 8. Vasashlik Bebetsulasan, and send him to the depths of the sea, is number 9. Kol Achatosam is number 9. Titan Ebes the Yaakov is number 10. Chesed Avraham is number 11. Asher Nishbat Vasenu Tracer is number 12. And Meme Kedem Tlacer is number 13. Those are the interior flows, the names of the stages, I call it stages, of the flow downwards in the beard, inside of the beard of Erich Anpin. So then he said, Veseder Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Chitzonim shall Erich Anpin, but we talk about the outside, that is the hairs themselves. Hayordim Lahoyer Lamata Bedikta the Zair Anpin, and what they do, the outside of the hairs actually shine out. This is a basic principle in Kabbalah, that from the inside actually motivates the outside. The outside is where things are pure. So there's actually panemius. So the panemius, and now we're going through the kitzonius of the hairs. Musudarim b'shar maimari rashbi. So in that Sefer Maimari Rashbi, they're explained. V'zel Lashona, this is what it says. Zecha Pirish Nimsa Mikastivas Arava Gadol, from the Rizal. This is how he explains it. He says, so Shlosh Esrei Midus Kachem. This is what they are. He says, V'zecha V'seda Minyonim. He says, Kale, that's the first one, is Echod, Rachum Mishnayim, V'chana Mishlosh, Erich is 4, Apayim is 5, V'rav Chesed is 6, V'emes is 7, Notzer Chesed is 8, La'alofim is 9, V'nose Avon Asara is 10, Upesha Echad Aser is 11, V'chatah is number 12, Shneim Aser, V'nake, and clean and guiltless, I guess it's the right word, Shlosha Asar. That's the 13th. Ve'eluchem Shlosha Asar Tikuni Dikna de Erich Anpin. These are the 13 Tikunim of the Dikna of Erich Anpin. Shohoridam Moshe Lamata B'makom Hadin. In the time of Din, these are the ones that Moshe was able to bring down to be able to Lamatko Adkan, in order to make it sweeter. Now, let's go into it a little bit more. And he says, Avira Rizal, and this is all a hakdama that we need just to hear it, try to place it in our minds, that we understand what's going on between the differences between the beard of Erich Anpin and Zair Anpin. Bir Arizal, the Arizal explains like this, Be'etz Chaim, HaHevdel bein Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Hanizkarim B'mechos, the difference between those tikkunim that are mentioned by Mecha, which is the ones on the insides of the hairs, the bein the Yud Gimel Midas Hanizkarim B'parshas Kisisa, Ki Elo Shefa HaPanimis, because the first one from Mecha refers to the Shefa that's inside of the hairs. Ve'elo Sa'aros Hazakan Shehem HaKelim B'chitzonim, and then the other one, that is the one that comes from the Chumash, that one comes from Shehem HaKelim, which Moshe Rabbeinu said, Shehem HaKelim B'chitzonim, that refers to the Kelim that hold these lights on the inside. V'zel Lashona, this is what the Rav says. V'amanam Hayud Gimel Midos Elo de So he wants to say these 3 midos of Micho. They come from the Mochas Dima of Erich Anpin. They flow inside of the hairs of Erich of the beard of Erich Anpin. Betoch Sa'aras Zakan. V'hem hanekraim shvacha datika. This is the praise of the Ancient One. That is, the glory of the Ancient One is his beard. Aksh Sa'aras Zakan atzmam shehem kitzonis v'kelim ma'avim ma'avrim. Sheyarek, so these kalim are actually that channel. They are the sinuros, they are the channels, the kalim and the vessels, ma'avrim, that allow to the flow to pass through them. Sheyarak ham shachasa kadisha bechem, so the holy oil will flow through them. In other words, the shefa from Micho, which has names. Again, these names are gradations in the limitation of the light. Hem Yud Gimel Midah Shenizka B'Torah. Those are the 13 we have in the Torah in Parshas Kisisa. V'hem Kamo Yud Gimel the Zair Anpin. So they're also similar to the 13 of Zair Anpin. Now Zair Anpin has 9, and Erich Anpin has 13. So question is, how do you get from 9 to 13? And we'll go on. So he said Ve'elo Hayud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Hitzayni de Erich Anpin. So the outside tikkunim of Erich Anpin, nekrayim lepamim b'shem Yud Gimel Tikkuni Dikna de Zair Anpin. Sometimes they're called by the 13. The same ones are called by the name of the 13 of Zair Anpin. He yos be'es ratzon, because at a time of acceptance, that is, in the time when Erich Anpin shines on Zair Anpin, me'irim lamata b'Zair Anpin, they shine down below into Zair Anpin. Masha ein came, which is not the case. Hayud Gimel Tikkunim Dikna Apnimim de Erich Anpin, which is the 13 Tikkunim of the Dikna that are inside of Erich Anpin. Nekroyim Rak B'Shem Tikkuni Dikna de Erich Anpin. So we have the outside and with the inside of the hair follicles themselves of the beard of Erich Anpin. The Fish Shehem Einim Yordim Lahoyer Lamata B'Zair Anpin, because the inside, that's what's inside those Tikkunim mentioned in Micha, do not ultimately come down and shine onto Zair Anpin, rather. Amnam the Fiha Emes, the truth is, Gamma Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Achitzonim de Erich Anpin Einem Yordin Namat Mamish Bezer Anpin. So the first thing he says is that the interior part, that doesn't have an effect on Zair Anpin. It's the outside part that has effect on Zair Anpin, but they themselves do not go to Zair Anpin. Even at the time of the greatest acceptance, when you're making a oneness, like Rabbi Memram says in his Davkus with the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, or with Erich Apayim, Erich Anpin rather, he says v'rafila be'ez ratzon elarak ha'arasam yaredis l'hoyer lamata, but only their glow, their radiance, shines down onto Zair Anpin. Digna the Zair Anpin atzma, the beard of Zair Anpin itself, la'olam ein bo yosef b'teisha tikuni dikna haniskarim l'chalon, as we're going to get into it. Now, I think what he said, and we've seen this before, is that at the time of it, what he calls the Eitz Ratzon, when the beard of outside of the beard of Erich Anpin is shining onto the beard of Zair Anpin comes to the number 13. It grows to that. We have to see what that's all about, because we're saying as a fact that the beard of Zair Anpin is 9 tikkunim, not 13. So he said, "V'tesha tikkuni dikna shel Zair Anpin." So those 9 tikkunim of the dikna of Zair Anpin atzmo, haniskarim beParsha Shalach, which are mentioned in Parsha Shalach, kachu sidman lefi harizal. This is their order according to the Rizal. The first one is called Erich. The second one is called Apayim. Number Gimel is called Rav Chesed. Number Dalel is called Nosei Avon. Number Hey is called Lupesha. Number Vav is called V'naktib. And number Zayin is Poket Avon Avos Albanim, is called visiting the sins of the fathers on the sons. Number Ches is called Al Shleshim. Number Tes is called Al Reveim. V'hine gam b'shah she'ein meir yud gimel tikuni dikna de Erich Anpin. So even at a time when the 13 of Erich Anpin are not shining b'dikna de Zair Anpin, into the dikna Zair Anpin, I'll call upon him in any case, meir behem teisha tikuni dikna de Erich Anpin, even when the whole 13 are not shining, but at least it has 9 that shine on it. Amnam yesh zaman shel din. There is a time when din is prevalent. Sha'az ein meir bechem afilu teisha tikuni dikna de Erich Anpin. But then you see that is only that is shining into them only the 9 of Erich Anpin. Let me read that again. Amnam yesh zaman shel din. There's a time when dinim are aroused. Sha'az ein meir bechem afilu teisha tikuni dikna de Erich Anpin. Even the lower 9 tikkunim rather of Erich Anpin do not shine on Zair Anpin. V'az dikna de Zair Anpin, and what happens then? The beard of Zair Anpin, who bebechinas dinim ugevuros, it becomes to the bechina of dinim and gevuros, and he said v'az gam ein nekroyim b'shem teisha bechina de rachman, and they're not called by the same name of the same midas of rachman. They're not called by the name of the 9 midas of rachamim. Avacha b'shashim meir bechem I'll call upon it. But when the teisha tikuni dikna de Erich Anpin, now he seems to be drawing a difference, which I don't know why or exactly how it works. He's not saying that here. Of sometimes the beard of Erich Anpin shines all 13 tikkunim down onto Zair Anpin, and sometimes only 9. I'll call upon him teisha, in any case, 9 tikuni dikna de Erich Anpin, ein nekroyim gam heim teisha bekilin de rachamim. Excuse me, I misread it. Azai, then nekroyim gam heim teisha bekilin de rachamim. Then they're called the 9 tikkunim of rachamim. V'hinei seder hatesha tikuni dikna b'makom haponim. So the place of the 9 tikkunim of the dikna are found in the face shel Zair Anpin. Eina mekuvanim lo kafi seder yud gimel tikuni dikna the Zair Anpin. They're not organized in a way between the two. They're not organized the same way as the 13 of Erich Anpin. Sheina yud gimel tikuni dikna chitzonius the Erich Anpin. Don't forget that here we're talking about the outside part of the beard of Erich Anpin and not the inside. And as is mentioned earlier, Kafi Seder Yud Gimel Tikun Dikna Apinimim, according to the order of the 13 Tikunim in the inside, the Erich Anpin, Ela yesh lechem seder miyuchad k'fichem b'vur b'Idra. So now we're going to get into the Idra, and the Idra is going to start showing us how it is there's a difference between the names and the hismatas of the light that is coming from Erich Anpin going down onto Zair Anpin, and that Zair Anpin has different names for his tikkunim be'Idra l'chalon, and we're going to see that later on. V'nesader l'som kan achas la'achas. So I'm going to take a break right now as I have to go pray. And we'll see how it's going to go, and hopefully I'll come back. And I'll get it organized. So this is Baruch, and I'm back after going to the Shachrit. So I am on page Reish Mem Hey, and although there may not be any interruption in the recording, but I've been gone for a while. So let's go over here, and now we're going to be talking about the different tikkunim of the beard of Erich Anpin. Make that Zair Anpin. Number Aleph, a tikkun rishon addicted to Zair Anpin. Let's talk about that. Nikra Erich. So these are the names, once again, of the hismatos, of the names of the tikkunim, which channel the light. V'hu hasa'aros denafek mikmei pischa de'udnim ad neged saf al yonim. So this is a distance between the opening, which would be, I think, the beginning of the sideburn, down to the level of the mouth. Ad neged safa elyona, up to the upper lip. Shehem hasa'aros hanimshachim b'meitzer ha'ozin. So they go down the narrow place, the sideburn of the ear. V'hu ba'ozach of the makom shel tikkun harishon dedikna de Erich Anpin. It's in the same place as the first tikkun of Erich Anpin, hanikra kale. So I was said Hashem kale, that's the first one. Rachum v'chanim, it goes on like that. Kale b'chitzonius, and that's chitzonius chitzonius. Umi kale kamocho b'penimius. Remember that you have two different sets of tikkunim for the inside of the beard of Erich Anpin and for the outside of the beard of Erich Anpin. Number base is tikkun base, nikra apayim. It's called apayim, refers to face. V'hu kolel includes within it Hein hasa'aros sha'al hasafa elyona, whether we're talking about the hairs on the upper lip, v'hein hasa'aros sha'al safa tachton, and also the ones on the lower lip. V'avshe b'seder yud gimel tikkuni dikna. Now, when you come to the 13 tikkunim of the dikna of Erich Anpin, heim nechshavin the shnei tikkunim nifrad, and they're considered to be two different tikkunim. Ki hasa'aros shal hasafa elyona hu tikkun base, because in Erich Anpin it's the second tikkun be'Erich Anpin. V'nikra nose avon mitzad penimis, and inside of it it's called bear's sin. So v'rachum mitzad hagitzonis hameir dezer Anpin, and then the outside of it, which is the part that shines to Zair Anpin, that's called v'rachum. So also the hairs on top of the lip, hatachtona, on the top of the lower lip. Hu hatikun hadalad be'Erich Anpin. That's the fourth tikkun in Erich Anpin. V'nikla she'eris nachalosa b'tzad benimis, and inside of it, that tikkun is called by the name of the remnant of his inheritance, misad benimis. Ve'erich mitzad kitzonim, and it's called Erich on regards to the outside part of it. Hine bedikta the Zair Anpin, but in the dikta the Zair Anpin nechshavim shnechem rak letikun echad v'shnechem beklal tikun base, and they're considered to be one tikkun in Zair Anpin, and both of them are incorporated into this one tikkun. Well, so he said number gimel, tikkun gimel nikra v'rav chesed. So it's called by the name of great chesed. So this is the path that is underneath the nose. It splits, it's in the middle of the two sides of the mouth, and it goes down, and it's a passageway. So in the case of the beard of Erich Anpin, this area is empty of se'aros, of hairs. Of Alkan bedikta the Zair Anpin, but here in the beard of Zair Anpin, it's full of little small hairs. And corresponding to that, in Erich Anpin, Nikra be'Erich Anpin, over a pesha, that's on the inside, mitzad penimios, that's on the inside, V'nikra v'chanum mitzad hitzonius, and that's the part that shines into Zair Anpin. Number Daled, the Tikkun Daled Nikra Nose Avan is called bearing sin. V'hu hasa'aros hamashemachasim halachayim, and these are the hairs that cover the cheeks. The Haina, his rachavos hazakan, this is the broad space of the beard. The rochav upon him on the as the beard starts to spread out. Amaschelas mimakom siyum hasa'aros hakatzarim shalatikun rishon. The first one goes down to the top of the lip, and this one also is in that same area. Mispashetes ad techilas hasfasayim, and it continues on, this broad space of the beard continues on until it reaches the lips. V'hu b'makom ha'tikun hashishi dedikna de Erich Anpin, and it's in the place of the sixth tikkun of the beard of Erich Anpin, anikra ki chafetz chesed hu, which is called he who desires chesed. Mitzad the benimius, that's on the inside of the beard of Erich Anpin, v'nikra v'rav chesed, mitzad the kitzonius, a meir b'Zair Anpin, and it's called by the name Rav Chesed. That's the outside part of that tikkun, which shines into towards Zair Anpin. Number Hey, this tikkun, tikkun Hey, nikra upesha, it's called Anpesha. V'hu makom trin tefuchim, this is the place of the two cheeks. V'heim shnei hapanim halokim bilti seir, so there are two sides of the face that have no hair on them. That's the part that's open on the face of the beard. V'shneihem chem tikkun echad, and both of them represent one tikkun. V'hu b'makom tikkun hashavi dedikna de Erich Anpin hanikra yashuv rachamenu mitzad benimis, and they correspond to the beard of Erich Anpin, which will be the seventh tikkun in Erich Anpin, and it's called shuv yerachamenu mitzad benimis. The inside has this name: come back and give us mercy. That's the inside part. The outside part, v'nikra v'emes mitzad kitzonis and meir b'Zair Anpin, the outside part that shines into Zair Anpin. So v'amnam yesh hevdol b'tikun zeh, because there's a difference between this tikkun bein hatrein panim de Zair Anpin, whether we're talking about the two sides of the face of Zair Anpin, shehem adumos, because here, instead of being white like everything that has to do with Erich Anpin, these are red. The trin panim de Erich Anpin shehem levonim, comparing it to the cheeks of Erich Anpin, which are white. Number Vav, tikkun Vav, nikra v'nake, so clean it, make it innocent. V'hus aras chetzi ove hazakan, so these are the hairs on half of the beard, hanigla l'ganayim, that can be seen. In other words, the part of the beard that's on the outside, I think that's what he means. Hanim shachem betachas peh lamata, that extend down underneath the mouth and go downwards. Ad techilas ha'ma'ayim, until it actually reaches, I guess, the building of the beginning of the digestive area, probably the top of the stomach. Shehu makom machaza, which he says here, that place where it extends to before it reaches the digestive part, is called the chest. The hainu sof shlish elyon shel teferis. So if you looked at teferis, that is the goof of Zair Anpin, or Erich Anpin, if you wanted to compare them, he said it would be the half of that teferis. Shmini, the dikna de Erich Anpin. This corresponds to the same place. This is number 6 now, in Zair Anpin, but it corresponds to number 8 in Erich Anpin. Hanikra kavo shavunuseno, which means to suppress our sins. Mitzad the penimis, that's what's inside of the of this tikkun. V'nikra notzer chesed, it is called guards or keeps chesed. Mitzad ha'chitzonis, and that's the outside part. That's the part that is going to shine to Zair Anpin. Hameir b'Zair Anpin. Amnam yesh hevdel b'tikun zeh. But so we see, let's look and see, and says there's a difference between this tikkun, bein Erich Anpin, the Zair Anpin, between these two, Erich Anpin or Zair Anpin. Ki ha'tikun ha'shmini, because the 8th tikkun of the dikna, the Erich Anpin, who yoser aruch, is much longer, or it's longer. V'nimshach lemata ad tibur halev, and it goes down until the middle of the second shlish of teferis. Shehu bechetzi teferis, which is in the middle of teferis. Number Zion, Tikkun Zion, Nikra Poked Avon Avos Albanim. It's called visits the sins of the fathers on the sons. Who he used makom hapeh panuhi mitzaro. So this is located in the place of the mouth, which is an area that is empty of hairs. Who makom atikum ashnaim also. So this corresponds to the 12th tikkun in Erich Anpin, the dikna to Erich Anpin. And in Erich Anpin, the inside part, nikra asher nishbata l'vosenda, which was sworn to your fathers. Mitzad the Penimis, that's the name of the tikkun on the inside. The name of the tikkun on the outside, V'nikra v'chotah, Mitzad hakitzonius, on the outside, the tikkun that's happening there is called Hameir B'Zair Anpin, that's on the outside, and that is its name. Number Ches, Tikkun Ches, which once again we're talking about the 9 tikkunim of the beard of Zair Anpin. Nikra al Hashleshim, it's called on the 3rd generation, V'hu Sa'aros hakatanim, so this refers to small hairs that are underneath the beard, and machasim esagoron, which cover over the neck. V'hu b'makom tikkun ha'asiri didikna de Erich Anpin, and it's in the place of the 10th tikkun in Erich Anpin. Hanikra titan emes the Yaakov b'tzad benimio. So the name of the tikkun on the inside of this particular tikkun of Erich Anpin is called titan emes the Yaakov. That's on the inside. V'nikra nose avon mitzad hitzonius, from the outside of it, but this is the part that shines to Zair Anpin, to Hameir B'Zair Anpin. Number Tes, the final tikkun of the beard of Zair Anpin. Tikkun Tes, Nikra v'al Revein. It refers to the 4th generation. V'hu sa'aros chetzi uvi azakana tachton asamach legaron. So this refers to let me read it again. This refers Saras Chetzi Ovi, the half of the thickness. Now he said, first of all, we had a different tikkun, which was the outside of the beard. So this is the inside of the beard. Saras Chetzi Ovi Hazakan. This is the half of the beard in terms of its thickness. Hatachton Hasamach Legoran, which is underneath everything else, and it's near the beard. So the matas, that they come from underneath the mouth, going downwards, until it reaches the beginning of the digestive tract. Once again, the beginning of that starts at the chaza, at the chest. Yachad im saras tikkun ashishi, so that's the same place that the 6th tikkun winds up, but the 6th tikkun is on the outside, and this tikkun is this 9th tikkun is on the inside. Also, this is the same place that the 13th tikkun of the dikna of Erich Anpin, which are Nikra Meme Kadem, which is called the waters of the old waters, the original waters, Mitzad Penimios, that's what it's called on the inside of a Nikra Vanake Mitzad Kitzonius, Hameir B'Zair Anpin, from this outside part, that's the part that ultimately shines into Zair Anpin. Now, this is all background that we're learning here, and it's obviously going to be developed, so there's no test here, so you don't have to remember every single part, but understand that they correspond to different places on the beard of Erich Anpin, because you have 13 compared to 9. So here we go a little bit more. Hare Teisha Tikuni B'Zair Anpin, the 9 Tikunim of Zair Anpin. L'umas Shlosha Aser Tikunim de Erich Anpin, they correspond to the 13 of the beard of Erich Anpin. V'nimsa Shechasei Recha B'Dikna de Zair Anpin, Daled Tikunim. So we see that there's 4 missing from the tikuning of 4. It's less. In other words, there's 13 in Erich Anpin and 9 over here in Zair Anpin. Fahem Elu. Here's the first one. Tikun Aleph. Tikun Daled de Erich Anpin. So the 4th tikun of Erich Anpin, Shuhu Hasafa Tachtonu, Ki B'Zair Anpin Hu Nechshav L'Tikun Echod Im Tikun Base. So now we're starting to see the places where you have a double over, or you have extra tikunim in Erich Anpin which do not appear in Zair Anpin. So Shuhu Hasafa Al Yona, which is the upper lip. So that doesn't exist in Zair Anpin. Base. Tikun Hey, the 5th tikun of Erich Anpin. Shuha Orach Shebesafa Tachtaina, which is the path of the upper lip. Ki ein bezer Anpin orach besafa tachtoni, because in Zair Anpin there is no lower lip. Number Gimel, Tikkun Tes, the Erich Anpin, the ninth Tikkun of Erich Anpin, Shuhu Hasa'aros HaKatanim Shebein Shtecha Maslos, which is the small hairs that are found between the two maslos. That's the 8th and the 13th Tikkun of the beard of Erich Anpin. Ki Bezer Anpin Ein Sa'aros Katanim, there are no small hairs underneath that place. Number Daled, Tikkun Yud Aleph de Erich Anpin, the 11th Tikkun of Erich Anpin, Shuhu Ma Shahasa'aros HaKatanim, where the small hairs, Hamachasim Agorim, which cover over the beard, Shavim Ba'orcham, they're all the same length. She'ein came Bezer Anpin, which is not the case by Zair Anpin. Anpin Tikkun in this Tikkun. Einam Shavim Ba'orcham, because they're not all the same length. Mavur be'idra lahalon, so we're going to see this later as we are learning the idra. Elu besida lahan, elu, these, we're going to see them again. Ki pesuki min ha-meitzer, the pesukim from this pasuk in Tehillim. Min ha-meitzer karasika, she'amro David HaMelech said this. Heim lefi seder teisha tikuni dikna de Zair Anpin. They're really talking about there, the flow of the light coming out from the beard of Zair Anpin. Of a rave seder hateshes sheisha tikuni b'hakdama, so we're going to get another hakdama as we get closer to this. V'sham nizbar maha hebdel, so there it's going to explain what is the difference between Teisha Tikuni Dikna de Zair Anpin, between the 9 Tikunim of Zair Anpin, Shehizkir Moshe Rabbeinu B'Parsha Shalach L'cha, when Moshe Rabbeinu brought that out in Shalach L'cha, L'bein Teisha Tikuni Dikna de Zair Anpin, Shehizkir David HaMelech B'Pasuk Min HaMeitzer. So this is the, we're going to see that later on, and he's going to explain the difference between what was said by Moshe Rabbeinu in one place, in Parsha Shalach L'cha, and also the Tisha Tikuni Dikna de Zair Anpin, Shehizkir David HaMelech, that he spoke about B'Pasuk Min HaMeitzer. And that's the shir for today in the Idra Rabbah. This is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator. At the Tikkun Elevator Kohel.